Hello and welcome again. So we're going to start talking about the DES in Java, and we will actually not implement the DES in Java. We could do it with all the tools that we have right now, but DES is already implemented in Java. So what we're gonna do is actually we're gonna see how to use it, how to use DES in Java for encryption and of course decryption. So let's talk about that in this video. So before I go into that, let's recall what DES is doing. So DES, remember, is a symmetric cipher. So the key for encryption decryption is exactly the same. And we know what's going on here inside the DES. Remember, we had the rounds, and then we have the F function, and we have the key schedule, all of that in here. So we understand what that is. Now we're gonna think about the DES now as a black box, who is taking, of course, 64 bits blocks and transform of plain text and transform them into 64 bits of ciphertext, which is the Y here, and the key is 56. But remember that the real key for DES is actually 64 bits. 64 bits. Okay, so DES is really a cipher of 56 bits, but we have to generate 64 bits. So to be able to use the DES here, remember that this process we did in previous videos, in which this was done doing the permutation PC1. Now, we're gonna concentrate in this video only on the part on how to generate this key. Now, there are two ways and you can do this. You can let Java, or in this particular case, the implementation of DES, generate a random key for you of 64 bits, or you can provide your own password and generate the 64 bits from there. So we're gonna do the first one is let's let Java do this for us. Let's let Java generate that 64 bits for the key, for the initial key we're gonna put in here. Now, if you remember what we did a while ago, we could let secure random actually generate this 64 bits randomly. But what we're gonna do here is let's just use the implementation that DES has, because that is more secure in Java. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use, in this case, we're gonna use a class that is called KeyGenerator. So we're gonna look at a class. Let me return to Y here. So we're gonna use the class in Java called KeyGenerator. KeyGenerator. Now this class, it has objects. So the objects of this class, will generate symmetric keys. Objects generate symmetric keys. Generate keys for symmetric ciphers. So generate keys for symmetric. Now remember, the symmetric ciphers are those that use the same key for encryption and decryption. Now, we have talked about a couple of symmetric ciphers in the class, which is the stream cipher and the DES. In the last video, I mentioned briefly triple DES and the advanced encryption standard. So this class that we have here, the KeyGenerator, what it's going to do is going to generate keys for the ones that I mentioned in the last video together with the DES. So we're going to look at, or we're not going to look at all of them, but we're going to generate keys for DES. We could also generate keys for triple DES. And we could also generate keys for the advanced encryption standard, which is the other standard. We haven't mentioned that actually. We will go into the details of that standard later. But so let's concentrate here on the DES and how to generate keys for this DES. So this class called KeyGenerator is gonna give me objects that generate keys for any symmetric ciphers that I have in here. Now, let's see how is the process here in Java. So the process in Java, what it's gonna do is, because I have a class, before I generate any key, I have to make an object of this class. So the object is gonna be generated by this. So I'm gonna start with the name of my class. So let's say, so in Java, what we're gonna do is we're gonna write down a KeyGenerator. KeyGenerator. Now you put the name of your key. So this is square. This is rectangle that I put. That is whatever you want to name your KeyGenerator, and then you say equal KeyGenerator. And you have to tell what kind of generator you want. So do you want a generator for DES? You want a generator for triple DES? Or do you want a generator for the advanced encryption standards? You have to tell what kind of object you want. You want to generate keys for which of these things. There are more, of course, but we're going to just basically focus on these three things that are here. So the way you do that is you call this method called get instance. So I'm going to put the dot here. So this is supposed to be all in one line. So you say get instance. And I really didn't have space there. So all this is supposed to be the one line, dot get instance. And what this get instance does is you're telling Java which of these three guys you want to generate, or what object you will generate keys for which algorithm. So this one, triple DS or AS. So it's very easy to say that. So because let's say I want to do this one because that's what we're interested in DES. So I'm gonna say get instance and then parentheses here and double quotes, and I'm just say DES. And of course semicolon. Now in here, what I have is my object. So this is the object that I'm creating. So I'm creating an object that is a key generator, and this object will generate keys for DES, right? Now this object that I have in here, which is this part here, will generate keys only for DES now because I set it up like that. So it's not generated keys for DES now. Now, how do you generate keys for this guy over here for DES? So I have my object. So okay, let me use maybe another color here, and I will in this here. Of course, you have to give it a name. Okay, you have to give some name here. So some name for your object that's gonna generate the keys. So some kind of name, whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you really name it, as long as you follow the standards of Java. And once I have my object, which is the purple here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell it, okay, so I want to generate the key, so one key randomly generated. So what we're gonna do here is so the code that we're gonna use now to generate that. So I'm gonna call my object that is here, and I'm gonna put that in a variable type, which is called secret key. So secret key is kind of like a variable type, like integer, like float, like double, like boolean. So key generated, the object that I'm creating here is gonna give me a type called secret key. So let's go ahead and see how that works. So as always, when you start with Java, so what it does is you're gonna say, okay, the type of the object, which is secret key, with capital. And so what happens is I'm going to generate the key. So will you have to give it a name to that key? So what's the name of that key? So whatever you want to call it. Let's say, for example, I want to call it my des key, for example. Again, you can call it whatever you want. So this is going to be my key for DES. So here. And so that's my variable type. That is a type secret key. And I'm going to make that equal. This is supposed to be in one line, okay? I call my key generator, which is this object here in purple. So let me put it there. And remember that purple there means you have a variable name. Oops, that was not purple. So let me choose the purple here. And so I get that is a variable name over there. And I say my des key, this is whatever that name is, and then I say the following. I say that generate key. Generate key. This is supposed to be one line again. And close parenthesis and semicolon. Okay, I'll show you this is exactly how it works in Java. So in this way, when these two lines of code, this guy here, my des key is gonna hold the key now for my DES. So this key that is right here will actually be this, let me scroll all the way up here, will actually be these 64 bits that you see in here. So again, what you do is you have to create an object of this class KeyGenerator, which generates keys for symmetric ciphers, which is DES, triple DES, and AES, and more, which we will not discuss. So I create an object of that like this. Get instance, and you put in here whatever the name of your algorithm here, which is implemented in Java. Of course, you cannot put here a stream cipher because it's not implemented in Java. You put whatever is implemented in Java. And then once I have that object, I have to then I create my key, which I'm gonna call my des key, which is of type secret key. And I just, whatever I do is I call my object and I say from this object generate that key. Now this object, you can use it again. You can generate another key for DES because this guy here is already set for DES. So you can, if you call this generated key, it's gonna generate another key for DES. Now if you want to generate another key for another guy, then you have to create another object of that, of here, of this class, with the corresponding whatever the cipher you are using. So in this case, this guy here will hold my key for DES. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what this does in Java. So I will go to the Eclipse application. So I'm back here in the Eclipse application, and as you can see, I have typed already some of the things I was talking about. So I have called a KeyGenerator class with, you can see here that is in red at the moment, KeyGenerator. And I'm calling that KeyGenerator my generator. Now you can call it whatever you want again because that's just the name of your variable. In the earlier part of the video, I was just putting a purple rectangle there, but you don't. Okay, so you can just name it whatever you want. And I said KeyGenerator and get instance. Get instance is what tells me exactly what kind of algorithm I'm using. So let's assume here that we're gonna use DES. So because we're gonna use DES, that's what I put over there. So exactly what I said in the video. And remember, that's only one line. So semicolon. And then I'm gonna put the this object to give me a actual DES key. So I'm gonna call it my DES key. Again, you can call this one that I'm highlighting here, you can call that whatever you want. And so I have my object here called my generator, which is this object of the class KeyGenerator. And I'm gonna tell, okay, generate my key, and then the kind of type of this variable is called secret key. And so basically that's how you generate that DES key here for Java. You can see there I have a couple of errors there, and the reason that is happening there is because I have to use import a library to be able to use the KeyGenerator and the secret key. One way you can import your library is, which I haven't mentioned before, is you can hover over the error there, and I don't know if you can see there, it's a little bit small. The first one says import KeyGenerator, so you want to go and press on that one so you can import the library that you need for that KeyGenerator. So that's why Eclipse is good, because it tells you exactly what you need. In most of the cases, that's actually correct. So in this case, it is correct. I have to import that library. So if I click over there, as you can see up there, it imports that library that I need there. Import JavaX Crypto. Crypto is for cryptography, KeyGenerator. So I need that. Okay, so that's, you see that the error there in KeyGenerator is gone. So that means that line of code, that line 11, is okay now. Now the next one, I also have another error there, which is secret key. And again, to fix that error, the only thing that's happening there is that, well, I just need a library for secret key. So I again hover over it, and then you can see over there, then it's a little bit small, but I have to import that library secret key that is from the same Java Crypto. So I'm just gonna click on it, and then I it's imported already. So I have my secret key now. You see there, I got an error again back in 12, and you will expect to do that. And the reason is because uh, when you generate an instance of, or you get an algorithm DES, it might not be implemented in Java. Uh, so what happens is it has to throw an error. It has to have a way to throw an error if that algorithm is not implemented. Now, in this case, it's gonna work, but anyway, Java wants me to put that throw there. So I'm gonna say the first one there. So just add throws a declaration of that one, and to see what happened there. So what happened there was that it was saying there is an error, and now it's gonna throw an error if it doesn't have the DS implemented. In this case, it's not a problem because we already have DS implemented in Java. And as you can see up there, it imported another library called no such algorithm exception. So basically what all this line is doing, the line that is this part here that says throws no such algorithm exception, and the library that is imported up there. But basically what that is saying is, okay, if this algorithm is not implemented, just throw an error. So that's it. So my secret key, which is here, my desk key, is already created. Of course, I can just go ahead and save this, and if I run it, but well, nothing is gonna happen. Let's see there, nothing happens. Well, because I'm not doing anything here, so I'm not using that secret key, but it's generated. Now, let's suppose you want to, let's say you suppose you want to print out what the secret key is, which is this variable here is holding the my desk key. So let's say we want to print it out. So system print out and say let's copy from here my desk key, and just to see it. Now you don't have to do this when you're using this for encryption, because you don't actually have to see the key. You just generate the key and then you use it. So as you can see there, I used it to print. I'm gonna use system print out there for the console application and see what my desk key will look like. Now as you can see there, so I'm gonna save this and I'm gonna run it, and I'm gonna get something in the console now. So as you can see there, I have that one. Now that is your key. Now it's not formatted in the way you're supposed to see it. So if you remember from the ES, that key is supposed to be 64 bits. So what is the meaning of all that? Well, the meaning of all that, the first part, this part that I'm highlighting here, that part is what is the provider for this DES. So provider basically is what is the, let's call the company or group of people who implement the DES algorithm. And what that's saying is that basically is done by Java. So Java, the Sun Microsystems company, implemented DES in there, and is saying it's implemented by this provider. Provider here basically means is the people or company who are coding these algorithms. And that's an important part of cryptography, and the reason for that is because when you want to use these applications, you are not supposed to code the algorithm by yourself. You're supposed to let providers do that for you, and the reason is because they are specialists in that area. So you should leave the develop of algorithms to the specialist. I mean, you can do it for educational purposes to make yourself understand what the algorithm is doing, but for real application, you should really leave the work for other people. So some microsystems already implemented DES. That's what it's saying there. So the company that is implemented, that is the owners of Java, and is at that location. Now, this is not telling me actually what the DES key is. It's just telling me is made by this provider or that company, is a DES key, which I know it is, and is at that location. That's all it's saying. So that's all it says there. Now, if I were to know what to the contents of that key, which you don't actually have to know it to use it, we have to do something else. But again, you don't have to go ahead and see the contents of that of that key, because you just need to use it. Now, in this case, because I really want to show you that it really is a DES key, which is gonna hold 64 bits. We're gonna have to format that key to make it look like something we actually know is a 64-bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you in a second how we have to format this my desk key in such a way that I can see it and I can check actually there's a 64-bit key. So I will show you this in a second.